Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today I am talking about how to be an influencer when it comes to being professional. So I think professionalism in the influencer space is kind of vague just because it's not as cut and dry as a corporate job or your 9-to-5 office job where everybody has these elaborate titles and you address them as so. So today I'm going to talk about the 6 things you should or shouldn't do to be professional as an influencer. So first things first, it's not all about being formal. So I know that in a corporate setting, it's all about Mr. and Mrs. and, this VP of insert whatever department here. But because it's a little bit more intimate because you're in people's inboxes every single day, it really is about getting straight to the point in a very concise and professional way without being overly formal. I think that can be a little bit overwhelming. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody calls you ma'am and you're like, it's not that serious, right? It's really about saying please and thank you and asking people things versus demanding them, right? And it really isn't about, if somebody's name is Chris, do you have to say Christopher? If somebody's name is Maddie, do you need to say Madeline? I don't think it's about the overdoing it of communication when it comes to being an influencer. I think it is about being professional. So it's being timely. I think it's being polite and courteous. I think it's about being clear and concise because we are not here to waste people's time. And I do think it's just being very, open to just doing the best that you can, right? I do think that I have had some interactions with people where they've called me Mrs. James or Mrs. Maddie, and it really isn't that serious. I think for me, if you use my name, I think that's one way of being really professional. I think that is really good enough and you're kind of clear and getting straight to the point of why you're in my inbox. You definitely do not need to over-explain things or tell them your life story. I think simply being polite and personal is how you can avoid being formal. The second thing you want to do when you are being professional as an influencer is answer emails promptly. I made a mistake maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and I just was really not staying on top of my inbox. I know that email can be overwhelming, but this was a missed opportunity, a missed paid opportunity, because I was not prompt in my correspondence when it came to interacting with brands and other collaborators. And this was like a 4-figure opportunity. So at the time, I was not yet blogging full time. So this was a lot of money for me, and it just was not a good situation because I responded, I think like 10 days late, and I, was kind of groveling in the email. I was like, oh my gosh, is it too late? I would still like to work together. And they have already selected the influencers they were going to work with for the campaign. So to be professional means to be prompt, especially when it comes to answering emails. You definitely don't want to miss a paid opportunity. It's not a fun feeling. Number 3, you absolutely want to use people's names spelled correctly. This is very, very important. And I know I mentioned it when we were talking about not being formal, but I think one way to be personal and professional is to make sure you learn somebody's name, you spell it correctly, and even if you're on the phone with somebody, definitely use it. There's something about the psychology of people that when you use their names, they tend to pay more attention. This applies to email as well. So you definitely want to make sure you're going out of your way, Googling this person's name to make sure that it is spelled consistently in at least 2 or 3 spaces to confirm that this is the right spelling. Or of course, off of their own personal Facebook or Instagram profile, you can find the spelling there because they spelled it themselves. And this is going to go really, really far. I'll give you a little hint. If you have ever emailed me or anybody has ever emailed me and they haven't used my name or they have misspelled my name, I delete the email. I do not read it because if you are not willing to pay attention to detail closely enough to spell my name correctly or even use it, you are probably not going to pay me what I want anyway. Say no if you're not interested. This is a really, really big one. I think that we have probably all come across an email about an opportunity that really wasn't a good fit or wasn't even something we were really interested in. And it's so easy to just bypass those emails because it's like, oh, I wouldn't do that anyway. But it goes a really long way when you take the time out just to be like, hey, thanks so much for considering me, but this is definitely not a fit at this time, or this is not something I'm currently interested in. Because what that does is it shows someone how professional you are, that you're even willing to respond to an email that you don't even plan on moving forward with as far as the project or campaign is concerned. And what I have realized is that because you've taken the time out to kind of say no, people will then consider you again for a future project just to see if it does in fact interest you. This goes a long, long way, even to the point where people have responded back to that email and said, wow, thanks so much for responding. I'll definitely keep you in mind for future opportunities. So take the 2 seconds it takes to just say no to the email, this opportunity that has come in your inbox. It really does go a long way with showing how professional you are. Don't be afraid of suggesting a call. This has been a game changer for me because if you're like me, you probably do not like the back and forth of a 28 email chain, especially when it can be eliminated and condensed if you just hop on the phone with somebody. So if you reach out to somebody, whether you're pitching a brand, you're reaching out to another blogger to collaborate with them, whatever it could be, and they definitely start to show you some interest, instead of elaborating in a super lengthy email, suggest 2 times when you guys can jump on the phone. Having a phone call with somebody definitely will allow you to see if you guys are even compatible when it comes to working together. Do you guys have the same sense of humor? Do you guys have the same kind of rapport and even professionalism? And then you can confirm all of the details you guys just talked about on the phone in a short, concise email. And people really, really not only appreciate this, but once you get to a certain level as an influencer and you're interacting with brands on a consistent basis, people expect this and they'll usually suggest it themselves. So don't be afraid of the phone. I know everything is done with direct messages and emails nowadays, but phone calls do help and they go a long way. Last but not least, get rid of that contact form. I cannot iterate this enough. It makes me angry. Like, that is how deeply I feel about this, okay? If I started yelling at you, don't be offended, but this is how your girl really feels, okay? Get rid of that contact form. 1, it doesn't make you look professional. Let me just go ahead and tell you. It is actually just so inconvenient. First of all, think about it. How do you feel when you see a contact form on somebody's blog or website? Don't worry, I'll wait. You don't like it. I've never heard anybody be like, wow, that person was so professional and it was such a pleasure filling out their contact form. That's never happened in the history of life. First of all, it's a big time consumer. If a brand who typically is looking for anywhere between 20 to 100 influencers to work on a campaign is kind of just shuffling through a list, and they see your site, they want to work with you, they want to contact you, but they have to go through that contact form, guess what they're doing? They're going to go on to the next influencer because nobody has time for that. Just put your email information and whatever information you want on there, your social media handles for Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, wherever you are, on the contact form. Trust me, every single person will thank you. It is not something that makes you look professional. It's actually a completely outdated kind of tool at this point, if you ask me. And unless you just have thousands of emails coming in your inbox, you don't even actually really need it. So get rid of the contact form, just put your email on your website, and just love everybody. That's just a way to show that you like people. Just put your email on your site. Thank you. Okay guys, that does it for this video. Hopefully this helps, right? Because I think, like, as an influencer, you want people to take you seriously. And of course, one way to do that is by being professional. I think if you get rid of the contact form, you're not overly formal, you take the time out to learn how to spell people's names, you're prompt with us responding to emails, I think that's gonna be such a really great way to just show that you are professional, you take yourself seriously, and you should be taken seriously as an influencer as well. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if you like more videos like this to come your way, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye. with a potential blogger, collaborator, and you want to collaborator? It's definitely collaborator. Wow. So I'm going to take that from the top. Collaborator?
You kept it cute though.
I really did. But you guys would have been out here talking about me in these YouTube streets and you would have had every single right. The word is not collaborator, it's collaborator.